Hello everyone. If you can hear me loud and clearly, please let me know. And today we're gonna do okay. And I got this idea from Daniel of Aries and the Nation. Or got so many channels. Yeah. I'm gonna go camera now. Let me see the screen properly. The Guardian. Let's see what the Guardian says. Yeah. No, thank you. Okay. The Guardian, this is from more than 3 years ago. Cocaine Cowboys, the story of the billionaires who controlled Miami. In a Netflix docu-series, the story of the Kings of Miami brings in a complex web of crime, corruption, and wealth. Before Breaking Bad, Narcos, and all the other thrillers, telenovels, and docu-series about trafficking clogging up your Netflix queue, there was Cocaine Cowboys. Director Billy Corben's lucid and sensational 2006 documentary about the Miami drug trade during the 80s became a cult classic and fundamental reference point for all the narco content that came after. The doc even spawned its own small franchise with two sequels, 2008's Cocaine Cowboys 2 and 2014 Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded, that dug deeper into the war series of law enforcement, lawyers, journalists, smugglers, and assassins. Now Corben and his producing partner, Alfred Spellman, are returning to the bottomless well for a new 6-part docu-series arriving on Netflix. Okay. Cocaine Cowboys, the King of Miami zeroes in on Willie Falcon and Sal Magluta, or Las Machiendos, as the billionaire Cubans came to be known. They were dominant but unassuming figures in the Miami drug trade, accused of importing 75 tons of cocaine into Miami. That is an awful lot of cocaine. It didn't have the violent reputation of someone like Gastiada Blanco, who was featured prominently in the Cocaine Cowboys trilogy. Instead, Falcon and Magalotta largely kept off law enforcement's radar until they were arrested in 1991. But that wasn't the end of their story. They continuously evaded convictions and sentencing for at least a decade because of how much influence they exerted over Miami's businesses, political, and legal institutions. Falcon and Magluta were also a curious structuring absence in the original Cocaine Cowboys, leaving audiences from Miami who were familiar with the headlines at the time wondering why their story wasn't being told. It wasn't for lack of trying. Oh. The Kings of Miami is the fourth title of the franchise, but it's the first story we wanted to tell, Corbin tells The Guardian. Why am I reading about the film? Should I continue reading this? No. There's got to be something that is not. I don't want the movie. Uh, I'll go back to The Guardian. Okay, I'll repeat this bit. The King of Miami is the fourth title in the franchise, but it's the first story we wanted to tell, Corbin tells The Guardian. The director explained that the court cases that finally put Falcon and Magletta away were just wrapping up in the early '40s, and the perpetual players, some who were just getting out of prison or witness protection, were not yet ready to come forward in a documentary. The wounds were too fresh. The story hadn't ripened yet to the point where everybody had some hindsight and some distance was ready to talk about it. Our conversation hops back and forth over 15 years between their 2006 documentary and their new series, which covers the ground that Corbin and Spellman couldn't the first time out. The original Cocaine Cowboys became an epic mosaic, depicting the Miami we know today as a city that was built brick by cocaine brick. In it, Corbin and Spellman present a thesis that Miami was only successful case study of Ronald Reagan's trickle-down economics, because the benefit from a drug trade bringing in upwards of $4 billion made its way in every facet of the community. If you were a grocer, a jeweler, in real estate, sold wine, or had a restaurant or a nightclub, you were touched by these narco dollars. In their 2006 documentary was about how Cocaine Cowboys built Miami's real estate. The Netflix series revealed how Falcon and Magletta were crooked joist holding up its halls of justice, The Kings of Miami played like a courtroom drama that gets going at the point in the narrative when most movies and television shows about cartels end, with Falcon and Magneto getting busted. They subsequently tried and retried, but with every episode the wily kingpins slip away thanks to the people on their payroll. Lawyers, jail wardens, witnesses, and jurors were all within reach of the Falcon and Magalut, whose organization corrupted the entire criminal justice system, while also keeping it afloat. Hang on. It kept... Okay. Is they sexy on the police then? Uh, they often joke down here that Wiley and Sal and the satellite cases helped to support the South Florida Criminal Defense Bar for 10, 15, 20 years, says Corbin. Falcon and Maglot's story was always going to be too big for a feature film. One of the benefits of Corbin and Spellman not getting to tell it in their first time round is that they had more room to explore the case as a series, which wasn't really an option 15 years ago. I think Ken Burns was the only person who could do anything like that, says Corbin, referring to the documentarian. Hang on, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Falcon and Matlock's story was always going to be too big for a feature film. One of the benefits of Corbin and Spellman are not getting the terror in their first time round is they had more room to explore the case as a series, which really wasn't an option 15 years ago. I think Ken Burns was the only person who could truly do anything like that, says Corbin, referring to the documentary behind the Civil War and the national parks. But he invented his own genre. Nobody else was allowed to do that. That was his shit, stick, whatever it is. Ooh. And if anyone is here, can you please let me know if you can hear me? Because I have no clue. Um, Corbin credits the 2015 The Jinx making a murderer with opening the true crime floodgates, making the current iteration of Cocaine Cowboys possible. He also said that the proliferation of the genre over recent years made it easier to acquire subjects, since nowadays people are far savvier about documentaries and are more willing to tell their stories in front of a camera. There's a lot of folks in Miami, when they get released from prison, the first call is to their mother and their second call is to us, says Corbin. He adds that now the challenge is vetting all the people who come forward. There are several people who have said they were Pablo Escobar's son, who might not be Pablo Escobar's son. The Kings of Miami can also rely on considerable shorthand, given all the related content that has come out since the original Cocaine Cowboys. The series doesn't dwell on exposition, or delve deep into the logistics of the Los Machios operations. There's a remarkable trust and confidence in the storytelling, which indicates that Falcon and Magloop were working with the Medellin cartel, but resist the temptation of mentioning Escobar, its notorious leader. But Corbin stresses that they established enough so that audiences don't need to have seen prerequisites to follow Falcon and Magloop's story, which stands on its own. This isn't like a Marvel movie, Corbin says, where you had to have seen 24 previous movies to follow what's going on. As soon as I skip a Marvel movie, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to have any idea what's happening. It's like homework. Okay? Familiarity with the Cocaine Cowboys films and shows like Narcos only enhances the experience of the Kings of Miami. But so too does a familiarity with The Godfather, Scarface, The Untouchables, and Miami Vice, which are often used to explain finer details from Falcon and Magloop's. I keep pronouncing that a bunch of different ways. Magloop's operations. The Kings of Miami is cohesion of the relationship between the subject and popular culture. These are, after all, figures who influenced, then in turn were influenced by Scarface and Miami Vice. One of the pilots in the Los Mochos operation, who appeared in The Kings of Miami, Ralph Lerena, even ended up working on Michael Mann's 2006 Miami Vice movie. Meanwhile, the wife of an informant, Alexia Esquivadia, became a star on The Real Housewives of Miami before appearing in the new Cocaine Cowboys. Vibrating. Now, one of the pilots in the Lost Mixtures operation, who appears in the Kingdom, yeah, I've already read that bit. So, builds very meta, postmodern world that we live in now, says Corbin, who adds that its famous subjects are often very critical and nitpicky about how movies and television portray their work. It's like reading Yelp reviews. When drug smugglers criticize Miami Vice. Well, we've got the catch on it coming. Hello, boy. Oh, come on. Come on. Yes, boy. Oh, you never did that one, so. Okay. This is very interesting. Just. Oh, do you want to be on camera? Great. You settled out. Yes. Okay, what we're gonna do now. Should I do some more? No. Okay, we're gonna do now. More. What? When did they give you purring, boy? No. Okay, what should I do now? Yeah, go back to cocaine. Cocaine. Okay. Okay, the Miami drug war. Ooh, I can do things like this. Okay. The Miami drug war was a series of armed conflicts in the 1970s and 1980s, centered in the city of Miami, Florida, between the United States government and multiple drug cartels, primarily the Medellin cartel. Okay. Medellin cartel was a powerful and highly organized Colombian drug cartel. Hello, Daniel. How are you? Yes, you have, Daniel. Then again, this whole episode's been about so far the cocaine cowboys, so very interesting. Just settle down. Just stop moving things about. Oh, enjoy, Daniel. And let me know when that's up and I'll watch it. Just settle down. Do not knock over the laptop. Do not knock over the laptop. Okay. Oh, ow. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. Resigned to okay, the Medellin cartel was powerful and highly organized Colombian drug cartel and terrorist organization originating in the city of Medellin, Colombia, that was founded and led by Pablo Escobar, is often considered to be the first major drug cartel and was referred to as such. It was okay, it was primarily developed con not taught by the illegal trafficking of cocaine. In 1975, Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel was established cocaine trafficking routes in the U.S. through Miami, superseding the Cuban, yeah, Cuban mafia, which was smuggling in Florida. They were smuggling 40 to 60 kilograms, 88 to 132 pounds of cocaine to Miami every week. Wow, that is an awful lot of cocaine. Hmm. Hi, Laz. Hi, hi, Laz. How are you? Oh. Laz is stupid o'clock, so might as well talk nonsense. Oh, shit. What did I just do in my life again? Okay, but okay, you're swapping that amount of cocaine every week to Miami via airdrops with the Everglades. The small planes earning around 8 million per month. Wow, that is an awful lot of money. What could I do with that amount of money? I could buy a house in London. I could actually buy a house in London for that amount. Yeah. Miami was situated to be a hub for cocaine smuggling due to its position in the Caribbean and the widespread use of Spanish. By 1981, Miami was responsible for trafficking 70% of the US cocaine and 70% of its marijuana and 90% of its counterfeit. Coolaz, what the heck? Is that just another term for money? Oh, no. Okay. Methadone or something like that. Wow. Major traffickers hmm, in Miami at the time, including the Balkan brothers, Sal Magalut, who smuggled in around 2 billion of cocaine from Colombia, as well as the Medellin cartel traffickers Rafael Cunza Salazar, Carlos Lidia, Mickey Munchday, John Roberts, Grisel Blanco, George Young, Basil, just many of the. Okay. Much of Miami's drug trafficking activity was centered out Coconut Grove, Italy, at Sailboat Bay, where drug traffickers could frequently meet and conduct business. Ah, haven't watched Breaking Bad, have I? Oh, I don't think I've watched Breaking Bad lads. Yeah, there you go. Not speak. Okay, violence. A shootout at the Davalan Mall on July 11th, 1979 started the drug war. Two members of a Colombian drug gang, entered a liquor store and shot two men in broad daylight. The murders were quickly dubbed "cocaine cowboys" by a police officer, due to ensuing turf wars between drug lords. Miami soon became known as the drug capital of the world. Most of the violent crime in Miami during the period was directly related to conflicts in the city's growing drug trade. In 1979, there were 349 murders in Miami. The next year the city had 573 murders, and the year after that it had 622 murders. Wow. By 1891, the city morgue had an overload of dead bodies and was forced to rent out a refrigerated truck in which to keep the bodies, using it until 1988. Crime in Miami had become so rampant by 1981 that journalist Ruben Bazard argues Miami was a failed state. Griselda Blanco was reportedly responsible for most of the murders in South Florida between 1979 and 1981. She was suspected to be behind at least 40 murders, but possibly connected to as many as 200. Wow. George Riva Alia, one of Blanco's hitmen, pled guilty to 3 murders in 1993, but is believed to be responsible for around 3 dozen killings during the drug war. Wars. Police corruption was a problem in Miami during the period. This was fueled by a virtual hiring frenzy in the Miami Police Department in 1981 and 1982, when 714 officers were hired, more than doubling the force's size by relaxing screening standards.
Jesus Christ. At the cinema has just come in. Please, Kirsty, can you...
I'm live. Obviously, lad. Okay. Sorry, that was my sister who came in. And she said to say hello. Okay, police corruption was a problem in Vietnam. More than doubling the force's size by relaxing screening standards at one point in 1987, 100 of Miami's 1,060 police officers had been or were under investigation on corruption-related matters. The river cops were around 19 police officers convicted of various states and federal crimes including murder, racketeering, robbery, drug possession, civil rights violations, and conspiracy charges. Upon conviction, the officers were given prison sentences averaging 23 years. I think so, lads. Yes, at the moment I'm using my phone to look at the comments because StreamYard is covered up. I can't see myself on camera. No, I'm not on camera anyway. I took that bit off. Okay. The river cops where a group of 19 police officers convicted. Lord. Various state and federal crimes including murder, racketeering, robbery. Yes, I read that bit. Beginning in 1984, the police officers started to seize and steal cash and drugs from motorists stopped for traffic violations. The officers then started to target more and more sizable seizures by getting tip-offs from informants. On July 13, 1985, the officers seized hundreds of kilograms of cocaine in secret compartments of the Missy and a boat docks at the Tamiya Marina. Oopsie. In 1985, officers raided another shipment of drugs, this time on the Mary Sea, a pleasure boat at the Jones Boat Yard in the Miami River, taking 350 to 400 kilograms, 770 pounds, to 880 pounds of cocaine worth around 10 million at the time. That would be an awful lot more now. During the raid, 3 of the 7-person crew unloading the cocaine drowned attempting to escape. Some of the seized cocaine was kept for personal use, but most was sold. The corruption was uncovered during the investigation into the deaths at Jones Boatyard, and when officers were apprehended attempting to sell the cocaine to undercover agents. Oh my. First trial, the River Cops, started in September 1986 with 7 officers as the defendants, but resulted in a mistrial after jurors could not agree on a verdict. 20 officers, including the 7 from the first trial, were indicted as part of the new trial, after one of the defendants became a prosecution witness. 10 officers pled guilty and 2 were convicted at trial in February 1988. Definitely, Laz. In December 1980, the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, launched Operation Swordfish, a major investigation. Sorry about that. Major investigation into the international drug organizations in Miami. The operation centered around a fake money laundering front in Miami Lakes called Dean International Investments and led to indictments of 67 people on federal charges. The seizure of 100 kilograms, 220 pounds of cocaine, 250,000 methylquadrant pills, tons of marijuana and $800,000 in cash and assets. No, lads, I have not heard of that. I have not heard of that at all. I'm going to read the other bit in a sec. And I've got a bottle of Coke next to me. So. Ooh. We're going to have to check that out, lads. Oh, that's all. Quick, need to make myself a smoke. So, while I'm doing that, let's have a conversation. Oh, good. That it did. Definitely has, lads. Gonna have to check that out. After this bit here that I'm reading, I think I'll check that out. Okay, I'm gonna be on very long tonight, longer than I normally would be. But I want peace. But hey, if there's any way I can get peace, I'm gonna go live to get peace. But please tell me a bit about this paper operation. Okay, law enforcement response to this, what I'm reading. In December 1980, the Drug Enforcement Administration. Oh no, I've already read that bit out. Sorry. Oh, that. Pager. I've heard of that. That was on the news. Wasn't that yesterday? I only heard it in passing. I try not to watch the news, but that can be very depressing. Okay. In February 1982, Ronald Reagan declared the epidemic drug smuggling had helped to create a serious problem in South Florida. He set up a Florida task force with agents from the DEA, U.S. Customs, the FBI, and the ATF, and the U.S. Department of Justice, which began work in March 1982. The increased manpower and coordination given to combat cocaine smuggling in Miami resulted in the amount seized nearly doubling by 1983 to an average of 2,000 pounds, 110 kg a week. Wow. Even more seizures, cocaine supply in Miami increased as smugglers saw it as an overhead cost. A member of the Dade County's Organized Crime Bureau quipped that we could have every customs inspector in the country here, and I would still get some cocaine in due to small-sized cocaine packages and the ease with which they could be hidden. Okay. Legacy. The dominance of the Mexican cartels in the U.S. cocaine trade in the 21st century means that more smuggling occurs across the southern border, with an estimated 93% of cocaine entering the U.S. from Mexico by 2010. Nonetheless, Florida remains an important trafficking hub, notably for the Dominican traffickers smuggling cocaine via Puerto Rico. In 2019, the DEA reported that Florida was the U.S. state with the largest amount of cocaine seized by weight, above California, Pennsylvania, and Puerto Rico. As cocaine became cheaper in Miami and the U.S., dealers started to look for more profitable smuggling avenues, such as into Europe. The situation in some European cities in 2020 has been compared to the Miami drug war. In 2021, the DEA's deputy chief in Europe said that the Antwerp had become a drug economy and was a repeat of Miami in the 1980s. Ooh, wow. Wow. Okay, what should I now Google? I didn't either, Lars. I didn't either. We need to learn that. Lars, you want me to Google anything? Okay, Lars. Just go down Wikipedia and see what Wikipedia said. And see what nonsense is on Wikipedia. I'm all knocking over this laptop. Oh, cool. Toy models. Wait. No. Toy. No. So I don't know. I can't think of what to search on Wikipedia at this very moment in time. Unless it's a sword. Oh, yes, swords. Swords, Dublin, swordsmanship, sword stick, sword, sword swallowing. How can people not die doing that? That is just bonkers. Sword swallowing redirects here for users. Nope. Sword swallowing is a skill in which the performer passes its sword through the mouth down the esophagus to the stomach. This way is not swallowing in the traditional sense. Why does that make me just go? Okay. The natural process that consists rates. Yeah. Like happier people. That sounds like a better thing to carving with this. Oh shit! Oh my god! So sorting for some reason. It's just like me. Let's see what Wiki says there. Huh? I wonder if you just decided to pull my leg, then I just decided to go with it. Yeah, obviously with the stored one, there's going to be massive chance of massive chance of dying there. The sword swapping movie. Because, yeah, history, that sounds, yeah. Hang on, how did people... Ah! Yeah, I'll actually check that out after I've read about the history of sword swallowing, because that sounds actually interesting. But more importantly, how did people learn to do it? It's like just one day they picked up a sword and said, "Oh, let's see if I can swallow this." Sword swallowing spread to Greece and Rome in the 1st century AD and to China in the 8th century. In Japan, it became part of the Japanese acrobatic theatre, Sangaku. Sangaku? Now I'm pronouncing things wrong. Okay, which includes fire eating, tightrope walking, juggling, and early illusion. In Europe, it developed into yet a third distinct type of performance associated with medieval jugglers, that of the street performance. Sword swallowing was performed during the Middle Ages as part of street theatre and was popular at festivals and other large gatherings. It began to die out in the mid-19th century and was outlawed in Scandinavia in 1893. Prolific swallower Theodor Osland famously made an appeal to Håkon the something of Norway, who was not swayed by his performance enough to rescind the ban. That is a very good point. According to the early 19th century English magazine article, the abilities of sword swallowers in India were considered incredible when first reported in England. In the 1830s, swallowing the sword was advertised as among the new and astounding feats performed by the Indian jugglers then appearing in London. The troupe was led by the famous juggler and sword swallower Ramal Samisi, who continued to perform until his death in London in August 1850, having at times also toured Europe and America. From 1850 to 1890, a small number of sword swallowers performed in the UK, such as Martha Mitchell (1855) and Benedetta (1863 to 1895), and in the US, including Dawson Peck (1850s), Ling Look (1872), Rwanda (1875), and Harry Parsons (1880). Best known North American sword swallower of this time was Fred McClone, better known to the public as Chevalier Cyclops, The class he reformed from 1878 to the early 20th century. That is very true, because you have different types of swords. And some swords are absolutely beautiful. Then again, some bladed weapons in general are just beautiful, and some are ugly as hell. Okay. In 1893, sword swallowing was featured at the World Columbian Exposition at the Chicago World's Fair. In the early 1900s, traveling circuses and sideshows featured sword swallowers. In Europe, performers tried to swallow large numbers of swords. In America, there was a focus on the novel and bizarre. Some tried to swallow longer swords, many swords, hot swords. Oh, that just sounds painful. Hot swords. That all I can think is them boiling hot. Ugh. So bayonets. That is stupid and crazy. Then again, just doing it in general is stupid and crazy. Yeah, definitely agree there, lads. They are some beautiful ones. Like some of the Indian swords you get, some of them are gorgeous as well. Okay, in the early 1900s, traveling circuses and sideshows featured swords with some sorts, yeah, I've got distracted there. A glowing neon tube. What the fucking hell would you put a neon tube down your throat? Sword swallows appeared on the same bill as magicians such as Houdini. Western Europe and England also saw an increase in sword swallowing interest during this period, with many cross-Atlantic influences. During the late 19th century and early 20th century, traveling magic shows from, from, from the Orient toured Europe and America. Some included sword swallowing. The middle of the 20th century saw a demise in circuses. In general, and sideshows in particular. Okay, I do not want to know about the method or whatnot. That's just gonna. Obviously not for some people. Very clearly. Mm. Okay. Okay. Warhammer. Warhammer Fantasy Battle or Warhammer Fantasy? Hang on. Hmm. Okay, I'll put War. Hello, Captain. How are you? Okay. Warhammer 40,000, sometimes called Warhammer 40k or WH4K or 40k. Wow! I'll just call it Warhammer 40k. And I'll just call it Warhammer. It's a miniature war game produced by Games Workshop. It is the most popular miniature war game in the world and is particularly popular in the United Kingdom. The first edition of the rulebook was published in September 1987, and the 10th of the current edition was released in June 2023. Yes, Laz, it is. And also, at the moment, it's the only way I'm getting any peace. Because I've got about 4 people here, and I want peace. So, and going live to get peace. Get peace. And never thought I would ever say that. That is okay, Captain. Oh. Good night, and sleep well. Okay, so according to this, the most current version release was in 2000 in June. 2023. As in other miniature war games, players enact battles using miniature models of warriors and fighting vehicles. The playing area is a tabletop model of a battlefield, comprising models of buildings, hills, trees, and other terrain features. Each player takes turns moving their model warriors around the battlefield and fighting their opponent's warriors. These fights are resolved using dice and simple arithmetic. Warhammer 40k is noted for its scientific fantasy setting in the distant future, where stagnant human civilization is beset by hostile aliens and supernatural creatures. The models in the game are a mixture of humans, aliens, and supernatural monsters wielding futuristic weaponry and supernatural powers. The fictional settings of the game has been developed through a large body of novels published by Black Library. Warhammer 40k was initially... Why do I keep saying 40k? Okay, was initially conceived as a sci-fi counterpart to Warhammer Fantasy Battle, a medieval fantasy war game also produced by Games Workshop, with which 40,000 shares a number of troops and concepts. Pardon me? I'll be back in a sec. Oh, hello. I'm back. Hello. Hey. Okay. Hello, lads. I'm back. Yes, I don't know what happened. Okay. This 7 month. This Salamander Space Marines. Yes, I can do that. Am I going to have to type that in itself? Can you hear what's going on in the rest of the flat? Just asking. Um, Sorry about that. Warhammer 40K. No. I guess my phone was set. Oh, shit. Uh, let's see what comes up. Yeah. This is it. Yes. Okay. Space Marine in the fictional universe of Warhammer. The Space Marine, also known as the Adaptive Astutes, are superhuman warriors who fight for the Imperium of Man. They wear mechanical suits of armor and have modified genomes that grant them superhuman strength and endurance. Some Space Marines have betrayed the Imperium and serve the gods of chaos. Oh, shit. Okay, and that's known as Chaos Space Marines. Warhammer is a miniature wargame where Space Marines are one of the playable factions that can be used. They are the most well-known and popular characters in Warhammer, always featuring in the artwork and starter set of each edition of Warhammer, and other spin-off games such as Space Hulk and Epic, including second edition Titan Legions, and the simpler derived games such as Space Crusade. Likewise, they are the most popular game. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea as well. What the heck is Space Hulk? Space Marines was the book Realm of Chaos, The Lost and the Damned was the first book from the Games Workshop to give a backstory for the Space Marines. It introduced the original 20 Space Marine legions as well as their primarchs. It also first described the Horus Heresy, civil war of the 13th millennium, in which 9 of the legions converted to the worship of the Chaos Force. Chaos Force, that sounds interesting. Oh, hang on. What that? Nope. Chaos. Oh, it cool. I'm just going to keep this in back. What was I doing again? No. No. Shit. Hmm. Fish of dragons in mythology. Yeah. Let's see, should I do? Yeah, I can. Because I've always got Insta set up on the PC as well. So yeah, I can do that. Okay. Dragon, not to be confused with dragon is a Komodo dragon, draconian, Dracul, or dragoon. This article is about the legendary creature. Okay. Yeah. The dragon is a magical legendary creature that appears in the folklore of multiple cultures worldwide. Beliefs about dragons are considerably thorough regions, but dragons in Western culture since the High Middle Ages have often been depicted as winged, horned, and capable of breathing fire. Dragons in Eastern cultures are usually depicted as wingless, four-legged serpentine creatures with above-average intelligence. Commodities between dragon traits are often a hybridization of feline, reptilian, and mammalian and avian features. The word dragon entered the English language in the early 13th century from Old French "dragon", which in turn comes from Latin "draco", meaning huge serpent. Dragon from ancient Greek bear, drakon, Genesis draconos, the dragon tentacles, dragoncotus. I know I'm butchering some of these words. Is most likely derived from the Greek verb "denekomai", because I'm not even going to attempt that. I'm going, so I'm not going to attempt that. I have no clue how to say it. Basically, okay, meaning I see the areas form in which epic Idrekon. This is thought to have referred to something with a deadly glance or unusually bright or sharp eyes, or because a snake's eyes appear to be always open. Each eye actually sees through a big transparent scale in its eyelids, which are permanently shut. The Greek word probably derives from an. Okay, thank you for that. That's a put in. Okay. Got it, lads. That it, lads? Oh, yeah, that's it. We're gonna have to. The Chaos Gods, also called the Dark Gods, or the and this is the Lexicantium sent from Vlad. Thank you. This is to do with Warhammer 40k. That's it, yes. Oh, don't know why I keep saying that's it, yeah. Okay, the Chaos Gods, also the Dark Gods, or the Runicious powers, are powerful beings of the psychic universe, known as the Warp, created and sustained by the emotions and souls of every living being of the material universe. Although they are godlike beings, they are by their nature monomechanical and completely single-minded, formed completely of a single emotion or concept, as well as being completely dependent on the emotions of mortal creatures for their powers and continued existence. Night, night, lads. Lovely chatting with you tonight. And thank you for this rabbit hole. Gods are able to devote a fraction of their power to create demons whose appearance and character reflect the god's own nature. These demons may be reabsorbed into the god at a whim. The least of the minor gods may be limited in their power, that expending their power to create a demon means their entire power is expended. In effect, the god becomes a demon. In the early history of the galaxy, the powers of the Warp had yet to form into distinct entities. At this time, the emotions of mortals flowed and ebbed as water does in a stream. As the mortal races grew and prospered, so did the strength of their emotions. Eventually, the gods grew to such a point where they could act independently of the general flow of emotions, and thus become the gods of chaos. They reached into the realms of mortals and demanded the praise and servitude in order to increase their own power. As more one emotion is exhibited in both thought and action, the stronger that god becomes. The first three gods, Krum, Zyak, and Nugal, become serpentant there. By the end of M2, but Slaanesh didn't fully awaken until the fall of Eldar in M29. Followers. The Chaos God's most devoted followers are known as champions, spiritually bound to their patrons. Chaos champions are rewarded with gifts unique to each god and potential blessing of ascension to demon princedom. When a follower of a chaos god dies, the soul is absorbed into the greater mass of that god, adding to its energy the already formidable power of that god. Daemons. A daemon is a creature formed from a fragment of a chaos god's consciousness. They form the armies of the chaos gods and frequently battle the armies of the other gods and unbelievers on the material plane. Relationships between the gods. The gods are rivals of each other. The constant war between them mirrors the struggle between their followers. What was that again? Between the followers in the material universe, and vice versa. Hang on. What the fuck is that noise? I'll be back in a sec. Sorry about that. I'm gonna reread what's up relationships between gods bit again. Um, the gods are rivals of each other. The constant war between their mirrors the struggle between their followers in the material universe, and vice versa. Victory in the mortal battles lends more power to the relevant god, and although often victory is not necessary, just the shedding of blood and sacrifice is required. The Chaos Gods are mostly constantly at war with Ori and another within the warp, vying for power amid the ethereal planes. Despite their myriad differences, the great gods of chaos have the same goal: total domination. Such power cannot be shared, especially amongst the gods. With the ebb and flow of energy within the warp, the powers of the Chaos Gods expand and contract. This eternal struggle for dominance is known as the Great Game. Okay. Which one I go? The four main the four main gods of chaos are Creon, the blood god, Tyech, the changer of ways, Nilgal, the great lord of decay, and Shalas, the prince of excess. I know I'm butchering some of these words. More than some. Beyond the main four, the warp has created nameless chaos gods, only to die with the passing of eons. Of these, the following are known or speculated to exist within the setting: Anis Moloch and Piazza Esther are minus chaos deities. Chaos Space Marines were rumored to praise them by putting spikes on their power armor. Their names are puns on the last name of Ryan Asiel and Michael Moorcock and Franz Faso. The Dark King entity. Um, the theoretical fifth major chaos god. Theoretical, yeah, fifth major chaos god. Malice is an entity worshipped as the renegade god of chaos and the hierarchy, the hierarch of anarchy and terror. I know I've just pronounced that word wrong completely. The renegade, chapter son of Malice, are among his followers. Morgannwg, the eater of the dead, the supernatural beast of legend, godhead of the Syed cannibal cult. Bastor, the ruler of the Forge of Souls, have been called a demigod of inventors, engineers, scientists, and artisans. He seeks to become the fifth major chaos god in his own right. It is speculated that Raptor cults worship a minor chaos deity. Hmm. Where should I go from here? Hmm. I'm going to be looking at all this again, definitely, when I'm not on camera. Ah. We're going to go back to dragons now again. Historic tales and records. I'm still reading this personal. Ooh. The tonic creatures appear in virtually all cultures around the globe, and the earliest attested reports of draconic creatures resemble giant snakes. Draconic creatures are first described in the mythologies of the ancient Near East and appear in ancient Mesopotamian art and literature. Stories about storm gods slaying giant serpents occur throughout nearly all Near Eastern and Indo-European mythologies. Famous prototypical draconic creatures include the Mushta, Mushka is a creature from ancient Mesopotamian mythology, a mythical hybrid with a scaly animal refined. Thank you, lads. I will. So it's about maybe all. Where was I before I got distracted there? And Airtek is also known as the Anaroth or Anathobis. It's the ancient Egyptian deity who embodied darkness and disorder, and was thus the opponent of light. And Matt, no, hey, I know I've just pronounced that already. Matt, Ra was the bringer of light and hence the biggest opposer of Apep. Hmm. Wrote again. Again, ancient Mesopotamian art and literature. I just completely lost where I was. Okay. I've lost where I was. I can't remember where I was there. Well, I'm going to actually head off now because it's getting late and I better try and get some sleep. Or try anyway. I better sit up there. And night all. And thank you for having. Yeah.